Hi, good morning everyone. Welcome to CGS-CIMB 14th Annual Indonesia Conference 2022. I would also like to welcome participants who joining this event virtually. As we know, the digitalization has accelerated since the pandemic, and it also affects the highly regulated banking sector. The number of online transactions has grown significantly, surpassing the transaction from ATM in recent years. And with QR payment becoming a new norm as a source of payment for the offline transaction as well. Beyond that, we also see more new players coming into the market to crack down the potential from the unbanked, underbanked segment in Indonesia, which represent a significant number from the population. That being said, we will have three distinguished speakers this morning to discuss about the digitalization in the banking sector, which has evolved rapidly, especially since the pandemic. Now, I would like to invite our guest speaker for this panelist session. First, we have Bapak Anung Herlianto. He is currently the Executive Director of the Indonesian Financial Services Authority, OJK, Banking Research and Regulation Department. Prior to OJK, Pak Anung has several positions in the banking supervision, monetary policy, and payment system. He graduated from Gajah Mada University with Bachelor of Economics degree majoring in accounting and also Master of Business Administration from Bristol University, as well as obtained his doctoral degree from Trisakti University with concentration in the public policy. Second, we have Mr. Justin Chen. He is currently the CTO of Bank Neo Commerce. He was appointed as director since February 2020, just when the pandemic was seriously impact the country. He has long experience both in the banking and internet finance during his career, including HSBC, UBS, and K-Bank. He was graduated from SCUT in computer science and also MBA from the HKUST. Last but not least, we have Bapak Timothy Utama. Pak Tim is currently the IT Director at Bank Mandiri. He was appointed to lead Mandiri's digital transformation since March 2021, after spending several years both in the foreign banks as well as international company. Pak Tim was previously the Managing Director, Head of Operation and Technology at Citibank, as well as the Chief Operation and Technology Officer at Singapore Exchange, SGX in Singapore. Pak Tim was graduated from the Texas A&M University, majoring in accounting and finance. This panelization will take about 90 minutes, and we'll start with the short presentation from each of the panelists, about 10-15 minutes before we move to the Q&A session. So without further delay, I will pass the floor to Pak Anung to start the presentation. Pak Anung, the time is yours.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Pak Timothy, we have Pak Justin, and also Pak Handi. Thank you very much for the kind introductions. Let me start by, so today I would like to say how the banking regulator or the OJK sees the future of the banking business. Yeah? And my presentation will be divided into three, next slide please, three parts. First, the global, domestic, and development banks. And then the OJK regulation and support to the accelerated digital transformation, including the brand new regulations with regard to the providing of the information technology, yeah? And then moving forward. The next slide, please. Okay. So this is more or less as Indonesia basically has enormous, so in terms of from the investors' perspective, the digital economic potential. Yeah? Based on the Bain and Company, yeah, I quoted from the Bain and Company in the e-commerce economy report 2021, highlighted outlook of Indonesia in the current digital era. There are three main takeaways, basically. Yeah? The first one is since pandemic, it is estimated that there are 21 million new digital consumers in Indonesia, 72% of which come from suburban areas. Yeah? Almost all of these consumers continue to use digital services. Yeah? And we'll continue to use them in the future. So this is a permanent. And then 98% of digital merchants have accepted digital payment. And 59% of digital merchants have started to adopt digital financing. And then the 69% of digital merchants will increase marketing via digital. Now e-commerce growing very, very, very massive. And Indonesia will be most dynamic. This is according to, again, Bain and Company, most endemic digital market. So Indonesia is the most desirable investment destination, surpassing Singapore. So international flows of funds continue to enter Indonesia, despite, the issue of the increasing Fed fund rate. Okay, next. Satu lagi, next. This is another statistic, the potential, digital potential Indonesia. Yeah. Now, this is according to McKinsey. I quoted from McKinsey's new personal financial services 2021 survey that Indonesia leaps forward in digital banking adoption. So Indonesia has seen a dramatic rise in digital banking adoptions. About 78% of Indonesian customers now use digital banking actively. So at least once a month via online or mobile channel. So up from 57% in 2017, okay, and so on. So already in 2021, 55% of respondents says that use cashless less than 30% of their weekly expenditure, etc. So this is basically the potential digital, future digital prospect, which banking industry has to catch up, because everything has to be settled by bank. Okay, next. But despite the massive accelerations of digital transformation financial services sector, especially banking industry, raise a big questions to what extent bank will be evolved and transformed. So I quote also from the Accenture, but probably next slide, please. This is the risk, yeah. So there is a question, what will be in the future digital landscape in the banking industry? This is Accenture, but more or less a bank, Basel Committee for Banking Supervision also observe that the end of the day, the digital banking will be divided into three. The first one will be a bank as a super app. Now we have a Neo, very small bank acquired by Big Tech, Pharma as a Jago, and then acquired by Big Tech, Grab and Tokopedia, etc. But why Mandiri, where Mandiri, BCA, BRI? So Pak Timothy will clarify. Mandiri, BCA probably will not, invade by the big tech. They are going to make like a super app. What we call it a bank center, as a bank center. So banks are the center of digital ecosystem, meaning that the bank has a role as a center for the product and services, both financial and non-financial services. This is probably the first scenario. At the second, the bank ecosystem with bank or non-bank institution. So the bank simply collaborate with other institution and is incorporated in digital ecosystem to provide service customer. And the other type is a platformifications, a plug-and-play business model that enable multiple services providers and customer to connect, interact with each other, and exchange value. So this is more or less the three grand scenario future banks business in the future. Okay. OJK couldn't agree more, because Basel Committee for Banking Supervision will also say, extremely Basel at the end state of digital future digital banking, that there is a phenomena of disintermediate bank, where the banking industry start take over by the big tech. So the big tech have the big role in interventions in the future. Yeah, but yeah, now the big banks start preparing themselves as a super app just to, you know, to avoid probably as Pak Timothy. So they are not going to invade by the big tech. Okay, next. Now, underlying policy for digital accelerations, what OJK should do as a regulator. Yeah? Basically, with the massive changing in the banking landscape, which is now turned into the digitalization, which is very massive. So, in terms of regulations, also in the crossroad. Yeah? So this is a good quotation. If you don't know where you are going, there any road will tell you there. Yeah. So OJK has to, you know, guide it, but not prescriptive. Yeah. We tend to facilitate the banking industry to be more competitive, innovative in the future by facilitating, basically, the development of digital banking. Next. But as a regulator, yeah, OJK as a regulator is not mandated to encourage innovation. Rather, regulator inherently is risk averse. Yeah? So there are two choices between we are in a benefit side, taking benefit side, or stick into the as a risk averse. Yeah? These two choices has consequences still. Open room, so if we take benefit, so open room for innovation to take benefit. So choose benefit to encourage the industry to develop and be more competitive, but there is a consequence that it's opening up opportunities for the development of new risks. There are still the unknown risks as a result of massive digitalization in the banking system and connectivity with the digital ecosystem. But if we stick to the risk, focus on the risk, that's blocking the innovation and benefit to be received. Consequences, low competitiveness of the bank. In this side, OJK, yeah, we and OJK, it's a banking regulations, research and regulations, tend to take a benefit by giving bank a conducive environment to grow with a digital environment. Yeah, okay. Next. Now, questions on the, sorry. So next, how do the OJK view digital banks? Yeah. In the Indonesian banking laws has stated that there are only two types of banks. Yeah, commercial banks and rural banks. So the term digital banking is only a business model and does not change the bank as an institutional, yeah, by definition. So banks is bank. Yeah. There are so many questions. Where is the position of digital banking and the regulations? So bank is bank, basically, regardless of the business model. So those OJK is the view that there is no need to dichotomy between a traditional bank that do not have digital services at all, bank that partially have digital banking services, and bank that have already digital banking services. So now in the industry, there are three types of banks. Yeah. Small banks that still, yeah, stick in traditional services, yeah, and partially digitalize their traditional services, and banks, small bank, and then acquired by big tech and convert into the full digital services, yeah, as Justin, as a neobank, C-bank, etc. Yeah, okay. Okay, 5 menit lagi. Okay, next. This is the approach of the OJK facing digitalizations. First, change the regulation into more principle-based rather than rule. And then tend to facilitative rather than prescriptive. And this is a living document like a blueprint regulator is like a living document regulations. Yeah, anytime can be changed because ecosystem life cycle change very, very fast. Yeah, so at any time we are flexible to accommodate what the bank needs, industrial need. Okay, next. RP2I dulu. Yeah. To lay down for a foundation to grow, OJK has published the Indonesian Banking Development Roadmap. In Pillar 2, yeah, and Pillar 2, we put accelerating digital transformations and then translate it into blueprint. Next. This is the blueprint of the accelerating digital transformation, which consists of how the bank deal with the data, technology, risk management, collaboration, and institutional engagement. So this is only a guideline. Yeah, and then and more questions also. How the OJK views on each bank that claim themselves as a full digital bank. Yeah, basically the OJK also has developed provide guidance for supervisors of bank. OJK will prepare tools, namely the digital maturity assessment for banks or DMAT, which is used as a tool for assessing the level of digitalizations in the bank, so that the condition of banking digitalization can be known and the development of digital transformation carried out by banks can be monitored. Yeah? This is done on a yearly basis, so the level of digitalization in Mandiri, in a neo bank, in another bank, so we have an assessment on that. So based on the 5 parameters, okay? Lastly, the other one, next. Slide terakhir. This is a brand new regulations, POJK number 11, regarding the provision of IT, information technology for commercial bank. So blueprint is only guideline, but everything that must do by the bank as a digital services, so like IT governance, IT architecture, how the bank deal with the cyber risk management, etc. And then we put it as a regulations, but still on principle base. Okay, next step. This is the last slide. Next, moving forward. So yeah, OJK and bank has to be side by side. Yeah, at facing the digital future digital business, future digital development. So we have to move at the same direction. So in banking industry, what we expect is basically a stable, resilient, competitive, and sustainable growth in banking industry with the digital platform. And then OJK in terms of regulation has to be agile, adaptive, effective, and efficient management and monitoring. And still our homework, both in banking industry and also regulatory sector, is a comprehensive reform in a people, process, and infrastructure aspect. Yeah? This has become the key success point where we move together between regulator and the banking industry. So the last slide is much more important. Yeah? Terima kasih. Stay safe, stay home, or go fishing. Yeah? Beach out there is waiting for you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Pak Anung, for the presentation. That's very insightful. We will move to the next presenter. We will hear more about what strategy that will take by BNC to differentiate them with other digital banking in the country. Justin, the time is yours.
Hello. Okay. Can we come into the presentation? Yeah, my former speaker shared a very big landscape, big picture about the whole digitization. So now we come into a smaller story about how one small bank do that thing. Okay. So next slide. So here is something that I would like to share about our digitization and the lesson learned and what have we done. And okay, let's recap a little bit about what BNC is. Please, next. The bank has been there for quite some time, and we are a listed bank. Akulaku acquired it since 2019, and we start to build up all the facilities for this bank since 2020. Our apps was launched in the second quarter last year, and until now, I mean recently, in the mid-year, we got like 20 million SIF and 2 million transaction per day and 150K loan disbursement per day. So that's what we up to now. Next. So now, how did we do that in the last couple of years? And so far we go this far a little bit. I think the first thing is about our engine of the bank. What is our engine? I mean, in the traditional way, mostly your business is driven by the business department, because your business department, they are the one who approach to your customer, they interact with them, and they understand that. So that's why the business department, they will come up with some idea. What kind of product, what kind of feature your customer likes? And then the back-end department are all supported this idea, and later on they generate a new product and regular report and do the enhancement. So this is the traditional flow. But in our bank, we try to do it in that way a little bit, but later on we found it's not that work. So how are we doing? When our customer interact with the app, actually there's not much human interaction between the bank and the customer. So that means our business department, they lose track about what they like, what the customer likes, and what they hate. This is highly rely on our data analysis. Now, the first day we launch a product, the second day we already see the performance. Our product manager, mostly, they can do the analysis based on the data. We have all the tools by themselves. If they have special need, they can ask for our data science. So that's the way we improve the product. So in the old time, when you launch a new product, you need to wait for like your monthly report or something. You know whether it performs well or not. But now, since the next day, you already can start your improvement. So that's what we call data-driven and product-driven. Next. This is about how important a flexible architecture is. You can see on the left-hand side, that's the architecture when I'm going to launch a new service. Because if I want to launch a new service, I have to develop the system first, and then I go through all the approval process and all the internal SOP, blah, blah, blah. And after that, when I can really launch the service, it may be like 6 months or 1 year later. So when I can launch my service, my architecture already changed into the right-hand side. So that means during you prepare for the launching, your fundamental architecture already changed rapidly or significantly. So you can't even find where to put in your new application. So this is the challenge we are facing, because normally the process for a new thing is quite long, and the distance is also really, really far when you prepare and when you're really going to launch. So then your flexible of architecture is super important. Otherwise, you normally have to do twice for every single application. You have to prepare for once, and you have to redo it 1 year later. So that's why we employ a lot of technology to make sure our architecture is flexible, to make sure the thing that I build now still works 1 year later. Next. The next is about our organization. In the traditional way, when we come up with a new idea, then it will go through all the departments. For example, business department have an idea, the financial department will do some projection, and IT team will provide the solution and implementation, product team provide the configuration parameters, and PMO come up with a plan, something like that. So this means our bank is working simply like an assembly line. Assembly line is not bad. It's the most efficient way when you're doing manufacturing. So the difference between digital banking and assembly line and manufacturing is, in the assembly line for manufacturing, your input and output is pretty much predetermined. So you know what exactly you're going to input and output. But when you start launch a new product or new feature or new things in the digital bank, the input and output is not pretty much the same, or you cannot expect what's going on. So in the best case, after go through the assembly line, you get what you want, but mostly it doesn't happen like that. So you have to be like a back and forth, and somehow it lose track. The worst thing is not failure. I'm not afraid of that. The worst thing is when your project fail, you still don't know who to blame, because every department told you that I already did my job. Accounting team say I do the math already. Product team say I export the design. IT team say I already implemented. But why it fails? No one knows. That's the worst thing. So that's why we come up in another organization which is goal-oriented. We pull all the functions together. Now, in the past, every department, they only care about what they're doing. This is my department. This is my responsibility. They tend to do less and defend their own. But now, you're responsible for the target. So when you join this thing, you're responsible for the target. So you start to think what I have to do to make it success, instead of what I have to do, or what I have not to do, to make sure I'm not the one who get blamed. So that will change the fundamental motivation of our people. Yeah, people is people. Yeah, this is kind of quite work in our bank. So I think this is a very important thing, how we move fast. Next. Next one, keep it simple. Most of our product manager, they are very smart, well-educated young men. But when people getting too smart, they have some problem, which is they tend to do addition instead of subtraction when they're facing problems. So that means when the time goes on, they make things more and more complicated. Our campaign rules is getting super sophisticated. No one can understand what that is. This is not good. This may work when you have face-to-face communication with your customer. Just like the insurance product is the most complicated thing in the world, but you can still sell it because you have good agent, you have good sales. They always keep trying to persuade the customer, hey, this is the best thing, I design it so sophisticated, it's because it's all for your own good, I'm not tend to deceive you, right? So that's how they sell it. But in the digital banking, no such a thing. If they see in the web, in the app, they found they cannot understand, they just give up. They will not think, oh, I'm not smart enough to understand your stuff. They will say, hey, you make it so complicated, it looks like you try to trap me. So that's what's going to happen. So I always emphasize to my team that stop using your middle class mindset. You don't make your user feel hard. You make them feel comfortable and feel easy. And about the UI UX, intuitive and vivid is also very important. Sometimes I just read, I use my own app. I found some functions is hard to find. Some buttons, I don't know what that means because the icon is not that intuitive. So we spend a lot of time to improve that. When at the beginning, it's very easy. When you have only 2-3 functions, so no matter how you put it, it's easy to see. But when you have like 10, 20 of them, it becomes a big problem. So how can you manage, how can you make your user to see what they want at the first glance? That's what we keep, that's a long-term work. It doesn't solve by some magic. You have to keep working on it. Next. Okay, external management, there's 2 parts. The first thing is about our partner. So because what we're doing is the open banking, that means a significant part of our income is generated by our partner. That means we need to do a lot of integration with them. Actually, we are not just selling the service to our user, we're also selling the service to our partner because when we do integration, that is commitment from both parties. Because integration is more difficult. I mean, there is a little bit barrier. If you commit to do integration, that means you need to learn each other's system, you need to do a lot of work, and then you can work. It's not just a simple business negotiation. I want to deal with you, then make some contracts and fine. No, not that way. So that means we're selling our service to our partner, and this service must be good. I think I don't remember the exact number, but I think we already integrate with like hundreds of partners. So we have to make sure they're happy with that. Because you're going to manage so many different APIs, and how can you make sure they all work, and how can you make it standardized? OJK is helping on that. And we provide very stable service. They don't expect turbulence. They don't want the system to be stopped or crash. Quite often, we provide the reconciliation, we provide the auto detection methodology, we provide the auto compensation mechanism. We try to take care of all the troubles on them. So if they feel comfortable, if they get used to me, then they're not easy to leave me. Next. Okay, this is my favorite part about the vendor management. If we want to build a very comprehensive bank system, you're gonna have a lot of vendors. You have to work with them because we cannot invent all the technology by ourselves. You still have to acquire the technology on the market. So that means you need to deal with your vendor a lot. In the left-hand side, that's the ideal working model. When I have some requirement, I ask my vendor, and they say, cool, yes. Then they do the implementation, then you achieve the fast iteration. But in fact, it's not like that. I guess everyone knows that when you have a requirement to your vendor, they start questioning, why are you doing this? Why you design like that? Why you want this? Why not doing that? Why you do this? They start to challenge you. And you have to spend a lot of time and energy to do the clarification. Hey, I'm doing for this reason, blah, 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 blah. And after you convince them, they start to come with a working plan, and you're gonna negotiate with them how long it takes, how much it costs, this and that. So after that, they can start to do the implementation. So if you do it in that way, your progress will be really slow. I understand how it works. So how can we make the right-hand side model to the left-hand side? I think one key word is self-discipline. Sometimes, most of my vendors, of course, they have to be good vendors. There are some bad ones, but they have to be good vendors. They try to help you. But somehow, how can they help? When you raise some requirement and you keep changing, you lose their trust. Next time when you raise requirement, they don't trust you anymore. They start to question whether your requirement is already complete, whether it's the real things you're going to do. Because I don't want to start and after 1 month you tell me to do the total another thing. So that's what they're concerned. If in that case, you have to be self-disciplined. You're going to make sure your requirement provide to them is the real perfect thing. Then they will be happy to help you. Just like our relationship, it's like a marriage. You want more freedom from your wife, you gotta be self-disciplined. So that's what I'm saying. We have to show our professional. If they believe you're a professional, they believe you know it better than them, they're willing to follow you. Mostly your partner don't say that, but deep down, your vendor, they will not tell you, I don't think you really understand that business. They're not going to say in that way, but that's what they're thinking. If they don't believe in you, they think, I know it better than you, so I don't believe in your requirements. So I challenge you, I keep negotiating with you every time. That's what's gonna happen. So you're gonna win the trust. Next. Yeah, I think that's the little notes for our digitization in the last couple of years. And yeah, so thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Last but not least, we'll hear from Pak Tim on how Mandiri's digital transformation will be to stay relevant with what the customer need. Pak Tim, please go ahead.
Terima kasih. Izin Pak Anung. It's always great to be next to Pak Anung. I always say that unless I've got a progressive regulator, we would not be where we are. So terima kasih Pak Anung. And again, Justin, I think it's always good to see that the new banks, the neobanks are coming up. So allow me this morning to give a bit of insight of what we have done within Mandiri. And if you look at the title of the slide, it is something that people really see. Are you sure you're going to be able to put that up? Contesting the digital market, being a conventional bank. As far as Mandiri is concerned, I think people understand that we have been around. We are today, this is not about size, but undeniably we are one of the largest in the nation. The real challenge when I was appointed to the board of Mandiri, taking on the digital transformation for the bank, I was tasked to say, can we make sure that we maintain our dominance in the country, in the digital world? So this is why something that I would like to share today as far as the Mandiri Bank is concerned. Plus, the thing that people talk today, everybody talks about digital. The question is, what does digital mean? Can Mandiri be seen as a digital bank, being a conventional bank? So when I began that journey, I asked myself, what does digital bank mean? To me, digital bank doesn't mean because I've got a new company that is set up as a digital bank. A digital bank to us is very simple. I take it from the client's perspective that when they deal with the bank, it has to be a digital experience. Whether the bank is a conventional bank or not a conventional bank, the real experience has to be a digital experience. So hopefully, by show of hands, I would like to, before I start, allow me, I know I'm in CIMB territory, but how many actually have had Super App Live-in? The one that has got the yellow logo. I just want to know how many of you actually have it? Just 2, 3, 4. So I hope after I finish, at least give me a chance that you want to try and you give me feedback. I'm not selling, but I'm asking so people can try what it is. And hopefully you can be a bit more convinced that you want to try it. If you don't like it, you close it down straight away and you come to see me. So let's start. So the first one, I think we've talked about the opportunity. I'm just going to spend very little time here where Google Temasek Bain says that Indonesia has got enormous opportunity. And in the ASEAN region, we are by far the largest by any measure that we have. So with that, everybody comes to Indonesia. That's why Fintech is growing. Every opportunity is enormous here. So I'm going to move next. Next page. The Mandiri digital transformation actually started some time back. We may be seen as a bit of a newcomer with the Super App launch, which was done on the 23rd anniversary of the bank, which was 2nd of October last year. So we launched our Super App. But before the launch of the Super App, we have had a lot of homework done to make sure that we are going to be ready for digital. And so we have had the digital banking roadmap. Obviously, this is fine-tuned, built. So first and foremost, that we got to make sure is that we level up the digital readiness. So our infrastructure from the back end, the core banking, what we built in microservices in the middle layer, that has to be ready. Then we develop digital native products. Everything that we do today is based on digital native. What Justin mentioned about neobank, I think, I'm proud to say that we make sure that we have that capability. And then we have distribution channels. This is a bank with 2,400 branches all over the nation. So how do we make sure that we remain relevant in that context? So we actually modernize our channels, including our branches, but with the launch of Super App Live-In, that makes all a different experience that we have. And then Pa Anung talk about ecosystem. That is the key to digital. So what we do is I always welcome partners. People ask me, are you not afraid of the competition? I said, I welcome competition. Because without collaboration, and in fact, I always say collaboration is the new way to compete. Without collaboration, we will not survive. And this is where the ecosystem comes into play. And we need to provide a platform that is able to open up and work with ecosystem. AI, this is going to be the key. Data, they always say, is the new oil, but from our perspective, I must admit it is challenging. Monetizing data is challenging. Having said that, I run 7 petabytes of data in our Hadoop. 7 petabytes, that's 7,000 terabytes. I have 140 data scientists behind this engine. So we are investing heavily, but we're still managing, trying to find ways to monetize. And then, so these are, if you like, how we built into the future to make sure that we are going to be ready with digital. So let me move on to the next slide. So having done that transformation, Mandiri actually launched a digital bank without having a title of a new company called Digital Bank. Because my definition of digital bank is my clients can come to us without stepping foot in a branch. So at the ease of being in your living room, you can open an account. Today, if you want to open an account today, please try. Within 10 minutes, you open an account without video calls, nothing, so you're not going to disturb me. So you can do it in the background by doing this, because I've got all this API connected to Dukcapil, do the face recognition. As long as you have KTP today, you can take picture within 10 minutes. Hopefully before I finish, you have an account open with Mandiri. That is why digital is all that. Beyond that, so the first step is the branches. Anything that was done in the branch today, the vision is to be done on the app. From open accounting to all servicing. So this is the comprehensive banking experience. The second bit that we look at is we are a conglomerate. So we have a lot of subs that deal with retail clients, and I bring them onto my app. The last but not least is going to be the open ecosystem that I'll cover a lot more. That makes a super app is because of the open ecosystem that looks, for us, we're going to look after the needs of lifestyle. So let me move on to the next one. When we designed this, frankly, people ask me, do you know the end vision of this digital bank? I said, I don't. The evolution is so quick. But we know, we are very clear, we built 4 stages, or at least 3 now, with the 4th one is going to keep growing. Stage number 1, to me, the most important bit when you build a digital bank is you got to make sure you have crowd. And the crowd will only come because you have UI, UX. So unfortunately, as a BUMN, I cannot burn money to attract crowds. To attract membership, I cannot burn money. I got to stay focused with UI, UX use cases that people come to me because I can address their needs. And the second bit, we realized once I created a crowd, I need to monetize that crowd with different functionalities, different needs, different services in the bank. And then stage 3 is where the ecosystem comes in. So we are somewhere between stage 2 and stage 3. Stage 4 is endless. What is going to happen in the next 6 months? We got to be able to adopt. I mean, what Justin said about agility is going to be the key. When there's a need, I need to be able to reply. I need to be able to respond. I need to be able to build. So now let me take to the next slide. We talk about creating crowd. So we have launched this in 2nd of October, so probably 9-10 months now. I'm pleased to share with you, we have had 14 million downloads. Of the 14 million downloads, I've got 12 million users. So people talk about users and downloads. I can assure you this is a big number. But more so, what is important behind these users is actually monthly active users. This is the number that very, very few banks would want to talk about. So I can say of the 12 million, today I've already 10.5 million monthly active users, 88%. So in other words, once they come into my platform, they transact. And that one is because we built use cases. We have grown from when we launched 42 use cases, till now we have 52. So we've added 10 very easily in 9 months. 5 minit lagi. So you can see the take-up of the quarterly transaction. I've got transactions that's running about 6 million transactions a day, and he has surpassed that of ATM. In terms of GTV, we are running at 2,500 trillion now. GTV, a year. 200 trillion a month, 6.5 trillion a day. That's a huge number, actually in living. So next, I'm going to talk about features. So we've benchmarked. I've got a product team that looks at all the digital players in the country, including the international players. You can see, I don't want to name the banks, but features alone, I can assure we keep on building. And next, once we have crowd, we got to see that we go, because as a bank, the real money, if bank stays in payments, I can tell you the money is going to be difficult to be made. You got to move into assets. That is what the real kicker comes in. And when you come to assets, I'm going to talk more about this. The key part to assets is the ability to raise funds with a low cost of funds. The big challenge with today in the banking, especially new players, is cost of funds is very, very high. Path to profitability is going to be a challenge. For us, I need to make sure that my path to profitability is clear, cost of funds is low, then I can lend well. So from this, we have had digital loans that we are launching, including credit card. And you can see the take-up has been very positive. The result has been very positive. Next, how do we monetize further with the crowd that we have had? Today, we have launched in our super app an investment capability, and we've democratized investment where 100,000 rupiah can buy you a mutual funds. And I'm selling today mutual funds in super app living in the tune of 15 billion, $1 million US. But of late, that has trend up. I touched $2 million US in probably in a week, 2 times. But average is $1 million US a day. We'll be selling bonds very soon. Beyond banking, next. So the vision of living is very simple. If you look at your app, most people have 12, 15 apps because there are needs for that. So our vision is I want to replace that 15 apps with living. If you have living, hopefully you can take down the number of apps because one living should be able to address the needs of your lifestyle. And we just launched, the last button was Sukha. So this is where the digital ecosystem comes. Sukha means joy, happiness, Sanskrit. So if you press the button Sukha, there you have the banking, combining banking and lifestyle. Today you can buy Garuda, Traveloka, Tokopedia. By the way, if you buy in Tokopedia, you check out Tokopedia, you just press live in, you press approve without copying and pasting. Everything is API call. So with this, with Sukha, we launched Westlife. This is the power of the crowd. Westlife, 25,000 tickets we sold in 30 minutes in Sukha. We open up 25,000, all finished in living. We do Jokmar. I'm running for Jokmar, but I'm doing the 5 clicks on Sunday. We finish in 2 days. Jokmar finished. This is the power of the crowd. Last but not, the last piece that I want to talk about is Justin covered agile methodology. Since we launched, we need to make sure that I've got ability, speed to market or time to market. Where we have launched since October till now, almost every month, one new, it's just more faster than iOS now. Future releases that is gonna come is we're gonna do remittance. So with Livin in October, we're gonna launch remittance where At the other end, they will receive full money. If you use banking today, they get cut by SWIFT costs, intermediate banks costs. Today, if you send $1,000, or tomorrow when I've got this, the other end will receive $1,000 US. The cost will be cheaper than you pay for your gudeg. That's going to be exciting, right? Last but not least, DNA. We are still a bank. The key to this is ability to raise funds at a cheap level. We have managed to reduce cost of funds by half, increase number of clients, and you can see that out of 7 accounts that we open, everything is done through Live It Now with Mandiri. So this is exciting because this is a big challenge for a lot of players because our cost of funds will remain low and will continue to go low. The last one, this is just a bit of a bragging sheet. Has been recognized as a super app, perhaps positioned as the best. My last page. For us, when we do digital, the point is becoming digital is not because I just want to be digital. I will make sure it actually generates value for the business. As simple as that. Don't just become digital for the sake of because I'll become digital. I make sure that when we become digital, it creates value. It has clarity of path to profitability. It has got clarity for the banking financials, not just membership. With that, thank you for the time to present, and hopefully you have got a better understanding how we've been driving digital transformation with the bank. And we want to stay relevant, and we want to be able to provide equally good experience in the digital transformation for our clients. 5% to 35% today. So for a bank of our size, 35% CIR, cost-income ratio, that's actually a very encouraging outcome. We have driven our ROE. We have touched ROE. Now we are all-time high, 18%. Because of the digital transformation we've done. We can manage low cost of funds, we manage a lot of distributions. And then CASA. A bank lives is CASA. We touched 75% CASA ratio. That is healthy, right? So this is where I think for us, we focus a lot more using digital from within to drive the output that a colleague that just asked about financial outcome profitability. This drives the profitability of the bank that I think adds value to our investors. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Tim and Pak Anung. I think due to the interest of time, maybe last question from me to you, Justin. I think BNC is pretty good in terms of product rollout. As you mentioned, your product rollout is pretty fast. But actually, what is the important feature that you think need to be have by BNC to leverage and penetrate to your target segment?
Okay, so that's actually a very important topic in our internally, because this year the market situation changed rapidly, so we turn from the scale into profitable. Actually, we change our priority a little bit about that. So this year we'll be more focused on the profit-generating business, and yeah, we target to be profitable. So the next phase is what we are doing is keep serving our customer well, even though the base is big and their needs is vary. And we will prioritize based on the needs and the income generating. So that's what we are looking for. And yeah, one thing I would like to add up is we always got questioned by the investors or someone else about the competition. To be honestly, from my point of view, at the very beginning, internally, we don't call the other bank as competitor. We call it friend merchant. So if we are doing the same business, we are friends. We actually don't consider competition among banks because normally one bank doesn't kill the other banks. You got killed by something else from the other industry. I just shared a sample with someone yesterday. Who will kill my bank? Theoretically, we need commercial bank because all the financial system is running in two-tier settlement methodology. So it's from central bank to commercial bank and to individual and institution accounts. With proper technology, if it's good enough, everyone can have their own settlement account directly in the central bank. That means you can skip the commercial bank. That's what it kills you. The other commercial bank doesn't kill you. So we always, of course, we still observe what's going on from Mandiri or Cbank or Jago. We have so many people taking care about that. But this is tactic level thing. Strategic level, we always consider the real threat or the disruptive things. Where does it come from? So I think that's what our idea about the competition.
Okay, thank you, Justin. With that, I would like to conclude this panelization. Thank you again, Pak Anung, Pak Tim, and Justin for your time. I wish everyone stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you, everyone.